Bruce's response to the theme is, it'll be a cold day in August when I give myself a pep talk. Validation Board, Bruce Daly.
Well, everyone, we're going to continue our journey into the fog with a little bit of hipster methodology that I developed. Now, I had a life sort of change. It didn't really involve myself. First of all, my son went off to college, and in the process, he left lots and lots and lots of things behind. And almost at the same time, my father moved into a nursing home, and he also left me lots and lots and lots of stuff. In fact, some of the things he left me winter clothing, he left me antique toys, he left me shortwave radios, he left art, he left just a whole cornucopia of items that I now need to dispose of. And being the entrepreneurial spirit that I am, I thought, wow, maybe there is a business in this. The reason that I think this is because, well, let me just do a show of hands. Is anybody here looking at having to get rid of a whole variety of different things? How many people here? Oh, great. Okay, thanks. Now, my experience starting businesses, and I've started 6 of them. Actually, I started 9. 3 of them were really unsuccessful, and 6 of them were somewhat successful, is that you go to a lot of effort, you can invest a lot of things in a business, and then fail. And then really, you're much better off if you fail early and you fail fast. And this is really encompassed in something called the validation board, which comes from the lean startup machine. And the idea behind it is that anytime you start a business where you do really kind of any new endeavor, you know, like Bob's writing a book, or Brent speaking, or some other departure, that you make assumptions about it. And that it's very costly to go to China, develop something, bring the product back, and find out that you really don't want to buy it. So I found the validation board is really the best way to decide what kind of business you should do and what kind of business you should be in, because it teases out the assumptions that you make. And with your permission, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through, in 5 to 7 minutes, a brief explanation of it and use it to figure out, should I really go into this business? Okay, so the first step is you come up with hypotheses. You've got a customer hypothesis and you've got a problem hypothesis. So you have an idea about who your customers are. And this isn't the traditional demographics. This isn't based on age or gender or household income. It's just a bunch of people that share a common problem. So my problem is I've got a lot of stuff that I need to get rid of. Art that, you know, I might be able to get rid of one way. I probably can't get rid of it through Craigslist. Probably eBay is a good choice. On the other hand, I have winter clothing. Probably go into Sotheby's isn't really going to be a good channel for that. So how do I work through the complexity of all that and come up with the optimal price for all the wide variety of objects that I now have to dispose of? So the second thing you do is you come up with a problem hypothesis. And this is where you really work on it and you say, what's really the problem I'm trying to solve here? And I think the problem I'm trying to solve is I'm trying to optimize income. I'm trying to optimize the amount of return by getting rid of things through the appropriate channels. So, for instance, I use the example of art. Art is a very specialized object. There's a certain way to get rid of it. So that's the customer hypothesis and the problem hypothesis. Once you come up with this, you really don't look for a solution, because usually there are multiple solutions to any given problem, and you don't want to rule out the main one. Now we're really at the heart of the matter, though, is I'm making some assumptions about this business, right? If we think about it. And in fact, I'm going to ask your help. One of the assumptions that I made, that I just validated, was the idea that someone other than myself might be interested in it. Toastmasters represents a pretty broad cross-section of people. I think we all saw from the hands that assumption is one I'm making that I just tested. So I'm going to ask you folks, what other assumptions might I be making about a business to help people figure out the right channel to get rid of stuff? What sort of, does anyone have any thoughts about what assumptions I might be making here?
You're assuming someone's going to pay you.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. So that's an excellent one.
The other thing is, how are you going to find the people who will pay?
Ah, brilliant. Okay. So how do I find the people?
And who's going to like your junk?
Oh, who's going to like my junk?
That's a personal
Well,
question.
they say there's workshop, right? They say there's somebody for everybody, maybe there's somebody for everybody's junk too. So, I really like my junk.
Craigslist is full of stuff like that.
It's true.
How are you gonna compete against Goodwill and ARC and the other industries?
Okay, how do I,
Which will do it for free.
Who's your
And give you a
who's your
tax
competition?
okay, who's my competition? That's a good question.
How are you gonna deal with hagglers?
And what price are you gonna put on it?
Okay, price,
You're assuming that people will want to invest the time to make decisions about every single item.
okay, are people willing, yeah, right, why don't you just take out the garbage, you know, that's really good, okay, I guess I can sit down now.
Location, do you have a place to store lots of stuff?
Okay,
How are you gonna segment the market?
how am I gonna segment the market? Ooh, that's a really good question as well.
Quality assurance.
Well, you know, kind of that, I've gotten the answer to that, and that is, you know, you sort of get what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
And are you gonna finish your speech on time?
Okay, so, now I'm just talking about the budget assumptions. I guess not. Now, I guess the question is you decide, what's the riskiest assumption? What's the consensus here? What really is the biggest assumption? The assumption that I'm making that absolutely has to be right, otherwise this business is gonna fail. Does anyone have any thoughts about what that might be?
Marketing.
Payment.
Well, people.
Payment.
Yeah.
I actually, with all due respect, I agree, are people willing to pay for it, right? So that becomes the riskiest assumption. So at this point, if this becomes invalid, then the business is invalid, right? So now it's time to get out of the building, it's time to ask people, would they pay for it? And if they answer yes, then you go to your next riskiest assumption. If they answer no, then you do something called pivot and you reevaluate your hypothesis. That, in essence, is the validation board. Thank you so much for your time.